Happy 2022 to you. Welcome back to my channel. So you're here for my secret to the new year. I do realize that this is coming a little bit late for new year content, but really I think the timing is perfect, and I am someone that believes in everything happens for a reason. And if you look at this, there's a lot of hoopla, there's a lot of excitement at the new year. It's my daughter. And it's a lot of energy, but it's hard to sustain that energy. And I mean, I'm not someone who really goes to a gym, but I'm told that, the first week of January, it's hard to find a parking space. And then quickly, like even just 2 weeks later, it starts to free up. So I think right around now is when people are falling off the wagon with their resolutions. So this could be a really great time. I think it's just the right time to get this message out. For you to reframe how you view this upcoming year, maybe how you view the year that came before, and just try to get you. I just think it's a healthy perspective on New Year's resolutions and just years ahead and how to prepare for them mentally and emotionally. So, without further ado, what is my secret to the new year? It is your personal year number in numerology. And if that sounds like a bunch of hocus pocus to you, stay tuned. It did to me as well. But once I started tracking it and kind of getting into it, I realized how true it was. So now I love it. And now, since I've been doing this for the past 3 or so years, 4 years, 5 years maybe, I don't know. I now have friends and family who are texting me every New Year's Eve, what kind of year am I going to have? So yeah, let's get into it. So to find your personal year number in numerology is a way of, there's no double digits or triple digits. You reduce things down. So you're basically just going to add your birthday and month to the current year, and then you reduce it down by adding the numbers together consecutively and you just keep doing that over and over again. So first things first, you take this new year. So this new year is 2022. So reduce that down to 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 2, and that gives you 6. So that is our numerical year is a 6. So now you're going to add that to your birthday and your birth month as well. So for example, if you're born January 1st, you would just be adding 1 plus the 6 for 2022. And then if you get a double digit, you're going to also add those numbers together to reduce it down to a 1-digit number. So January 1st would be 1 plus 1 plus the 6 would be 6, 7, 8. So you'd be having an 8 year. For example, someone born in September 1st, or let's do September 22nd. So September is an 11. So that breaks down to a 2, or reduces down to a 2. And then the 22nd would be a 4. So you would do 2 plus 4 plus the 6, right? And then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That would be a 12, which reduces down to a 3. So, sorry, math is not my strong suit, believe it or not, ironically. So, whatever. I'm going to leave the way to calculate it in the description box, but there's also a ton of calculators. If you just Google it, there's a million numerology calculators on the internet that can help you out and just do it for you. So however you do it, pause this video until you have your personal year number, and then let's get started. And I at first was going to segment it so you could skip ahead to the year you're having. If you're having a 6 year, if you're having a 9 year. But really, I want you to look at this holistically. I want you to see what I see, which is the cycles in it all, the big picture. Because really, it's a fantastic way to not only know the year you're having, but to be able to look back and give further meaning to anything that happened to you in the years prior. And then you can look forward and you can start planning ahead and getting excited and understanding the rhythms and cycles to nature. Because what's cool about numerology is when you're calculating your personal year number and you get to whatever it is, say it's a 1, the next year will be the next consecutive number. It'll be a 2, followed by a 3 year, followed by a 4 year. So it goes in order. There's a nice orderly manner to this. It's a nice structure in your life. We have these blocks of 9 years, right? Which is pretty cool. So I want you to see the whole big picture because it can really help orient you, I think, in your life. So without further ado, let's get into the meanings behind these number years. So if you're having a 1 year, congratulations. This is the start of the cycle. So anything new is exciting. You're going to have a lot of energy forward. And just to preface this as well, you're going to find, or at least I find, certain patterns to this. So odd number years are all about, if you think of an odd number, it's 1 or 3 or whatever. So 1 is the first. It bursts forward. It's a new energy. I look at odd numbers like arrows shooting you forward, and then the even years are about pulling back. So where odd number years are more expansive, they're about expanding, they're about action. The even years are more about taking a step back from that action and integrating what you've learned or how you've grown, integrating that growth into your life. It's a great time for reassessment, being a little bit more passive and introspective. So nature doesn't, sometimes you can have years that compile and feel like a lot, but you'll notice this kind of push and pull. Which is really interesting. And also you'll notice that if you have a year that's really big in one way, the next year will counterbalance it and kind of bring you to the other side of that spectrum. So if you have like a really big growth area in one way that's all about partying, for example, the next year would be more grounding and kind of bring you back down to earth. So the 1 year, it's really it's the quintessential new year, new me energy. So whatever you're feeling pulled to, if it's a new project, if it's a new relationship, if it's, going through your life and just really deciding what stays and what goes, really lean into that energy. Take action in your life where you're being pulled to. The pros of it is you're kind of unstoppable. It's a new cycle. So you're really you're charging forward. Now, the cons of that is ego can definitely be a part of it, right? When we're focused on in the one way, like we're kind of focused on ourselves, that crazy energy of going forward and pursuing your dreams can also be a bit stubborn. And also a little bit lonely. You could deal with loneliness in this year because it is a 1 year. You may want everything to change. You may want nothing to change, but you're going to have a lot of energy forward. So it can be lonely if maybe your partner's not coming with you, or, maybe your marriage is fine, but, maybe you're not as focused on them as you maybe were in the years prior. So moving on to the year 2, the year 2 is, of course, it's going to counterbalance that year 1. So it's a little bit of it's a breath. You've had a lot of growth. Now it's time to, it's really big on intuition, because if you look at the 2, it's think of 2 dots or something. They're connecting. So this is relationships, this is others, this is working with others, this could be business partnerships, this could be friendships, this could be romantic, whatever it is, your friends and family, the others in your life, you're going to play a very supportive role to them. They might be very integral into your growth this year. And it's also a chance to have a deeper relationship to yourself and to God or spirit, however you view that, because it's a deep connection point. So maybe you've started this new path and now you need to reassess and you need to connect again. And you'll find that you could have the greatest intuition of your life in a second year. So that's pretty exciting. So the pros are greater intuition, a bit more calm maybe from the first year. Maybe you were a busybody in your year 1. Now it's a chance to find some calm, some stability. Maybe you find a new, relationship. The cons can be that maybe you're too passive. Maybe, you're not, you've lost that fire a little bit. But yeah, so you're going to pick it up though, because then we're coming into the year 3. And if you're having a year 3, congratulations, because to me, these are, I would say they're the most fun years by far. 3 is associated with creative expression. 3 is associated with the group dynamic, socializing. So if you're having a year 3, it is very fun. And it could be a great chance to level up your creative projects, your work. It's a great time for socializing. Like I said, the group dynamic is going to be very powerful. So for example, I've seen people take off on their social media in their 3-year because they were in the flow. They were really being creative and having a lot of fun, which is really nice. So it's a very inspiring year. Those are the pros, is that it's very inspiring, it's very fun, it's very creative, it's very expressive, and you could be just, the social butterfly that you want to be this year. The cons of that are, in your 3, you tend to have rose-colored glasses on, so maybe you've had too much fun, or maybe, you're not looking at your relationships correctly, or, maybe things are getting a little off the direction you exactly want to be on. So yeah, naivety is a con to the 3-year. You could be a little bit naive about something, about all this new growth, but don't worry, that will be balanced out in your 4-year. So if you're having a 4-year, it's like, I call it the adulting year, right? It's like a chance to, it's all about structure, and I hate to say it, but like hard work. It doesn't have to be hard, but it is a more serious energy because it's counterbalancing that really exciting growth of the 3-year. And in these personal year numbers, there are some years that tend to be more challenging. The 4, the 7, and the 9, in my experience and from what I can see in others, they're more challenging. So the 4-year, it can tend to be serious because when you look at 4, in geometry, like a square, it's very stable. And everyone associates triangles with the pyramids, but really the base of that triangle, the base that's holding that pyramid together for thousands of years, right? It's a square. So it's very much about stability. So, you started in your 1 year, you started in this new direction, you've gotten your intuition about it, you've experienced a lot of growth and creativity, and you've expressed that, and now it's time to take all of that growth and take all of that excitement for this new direction, and you're going to build a solid foundation to build a house on for the rest of this cycle. So you really want to look at stability in your life. You really want to look at what is a solid structure to build on. So KonMari your life, put everything on the floor, pick it up and say, does this spark joy? Is this staying or is this leaving? Make sure you take care of your finances. Just all the little things of getting your ducks, in order, getting your life in order, doing the things you might have shied away from in years prior, fix that broken pipe in your house, that kind of thing, before it becomes a real issue. So yeah. And don't shy away from the hard work, because even though this doesn't sound fun, it's going to reward you, right? Any lesson that comes up from these years, if you meet it head on and you do the work required, if you step up to the plate and meet the challenge face on, you're going to be rewarded for it. So I want to remind you of that. These years that are challenging aren't happening to you, they're happening for you. So happy 4-year if you're experiencing that. You're going to look back and be grateful that you had it, and grateful that it puts you in a really stable place in your life. If you're having a 5-year, yay, we're back in a growth period. So the 5-year is very much associated with change and like big changes. Because if you look at this, again, look at the big picture, you've started in a new direction, you've kind of had some growth, blah, blah, blah. And now it's time to start seeing those changes flourish. You're really going to be able to maybe see the manifestation of the new direction you started just 4 years ago. 5 years are heavily associated with travel and adventure. I know some people are still in lockdown, but you could have that sense of adventure in your heart. You know what I mean? You could want to learn new things, dive into new anything really, or just level up again your projects, your work, your creative work, your relationships. So yeah, I'm excited for you. Change is a big one in the 5 year. And, if you're not aligned, that could be hard, but for people really going after something, it could be a really great reward in your 5 year. So enjoy the change. And that brings us into the 6 year. And 6 is a very beautiful number in numerology. It's a very harmonious number. When you think of 6, you think of the hexagon, and you can think of bees. And is anyone working more in harmony than bees with nature? They know how to work together. They have a certain flow. They take care of their house, and they take care of each other. So look at that in your life and really prioritize love and anything that's going to bring harmony in your life. And definitely something that I've noticed, I haven't seen it a lot, like especially in my research years prior into all of this. I didn't see this a lot, but I did see this a lot in my personal experience, is take care of your health in the 6th year. Your health could be challenged. It could be brought to the forefront of your life in some way. Like I have someone who, in my life, they had a back injury in their 6th year. I had someone else who actually experienced Bell's palsy. They had half their face fall one day because of this is a whole nother rabbit hole, but they were able to make dietary changes and they fixed themselves in less than 6 weeks, which is really, or less than 6 days. Sorry. It was really a very incredibly fast turnaround for them. So your health could be brought to the forefront, and I want you to meet that challenge and really prioritize. Maybe for one person it's rest, maybe for another person it's movement, and really for all of us, we could eat better, right? So take care of yourself, and just really look at, again, it's an even number year, so we're taking maybe a little bit of a breather from all of the action. So look at your relationships, look at the things that you have in your life, and really try to assess, is this bringing peace? Is this bringing harmony? Am I feeling just at peace with everything in my life? And if not, make some changes. But it's a very beautiful year. So enjoy your 6th year. Anything domestic, like great year for moving into a new home or nesting, as a pregnant mother, or welcoming in a new child. It's a very beautiful family and home kind of energy. Very Cancer, if you're into astrology, very Cancer related. And now that brings us to actually my favorite year. It's year 7. So again, I kind of mentioned this earlier. It's one of the more challenging years because it's the year of spirituality. So we're leaving the year, we had the year of structure, of change, of harmony, and now we have the year of spirituality. This could be, and this year I've seen really swing. Like it can go one way or it can go the other. And you'll notice it more because that's true for all of these years. If you're meeting the lessons, like you really see the growth there. But if you're not, it can just cause a blockage. With the 7 year, because it is the year of spirituality, you will really feel it in your heart of hearts. So if you are aligned, you will just feel like this is the greatest year of your life. If you're not aligned with your heart space, with your, your highest self, whatever it is, God, you'll really feel it. And it could be quite painful. It might require you to take down the walls of your ego, to listen to your heart. So whatever challenges you this year, just know that it's happening for you. Especially people in their 20s and 30s, especially around that quarter life crisis age, 25, I've really noticed in my friends and family when we've gone through their years and mapped it all out. And I say, oh, this is the year, this was the spirituality year. This was the year that really challenged you. And so many of them, usually all of them, are like, oh my God, that was the year I thought I wasn't going to make it, or that was the year I, had this happen or this happen. And what I love about this whole process is it can bring great meaning to that. They can look back and go, oh, that's why I had that crazy breakup, or that's why I lost my job, or that's why, this or that happened. It was a chance for me to learn. It was kind of, designed, if you will. So yeah, the 7 year, it can be highly intuitive. It can be, the cons of it is it can be stressful if you're not listening to that intuition. But it's the year of faith. So your faith is going to be tested. That could be faith in yourself. That could be faith in maybe your relationship. That could be faith in your job and what you're doing. Yeah, it can be. So the pros of it is if you're aligned, you could feel like you're talking directly to God. Like you could feel such a connection there. But if you're not aligned, what happens when you don't feel connected to yourself or don't feel connected to spirit? You can quite easily get depressed. So it could be a very hard year if you're not really figuring out what you need to figure out in your life, and listening to your heart. So great year for meditation. Great year for just leveling up in the way that only you need to. You just have to do the deep work and listen to your heart, and you'll figure it out. Which leads me to the next year, the karmic year of 8. I find a lot of times in the 7 year, you're presented with a bit of a choice. Do I go with the ego? Do I go with the heart? Do I go with the soul? Like, what do I do? Do I stay? Do I go? What changes do I need to make? If you make the right calls in your 8 year, you could be greatly rewarded. 8 is a power number. Yeah, like I said, it's very karmic because it's like it tends to give you what you put in. So I've seen people get really, really, especially financially and materially rewarded in their 8 year. I know in my 8 year, I had a really hard 7 year, but I met my challenges, and I feel like I made the right decisions. And then in my 8 year, I was like totally rewarded. Everything I wanted in that cycle, I got, including my baby, which was really cool. So so the gifts, be ready to receive in your 8 year. Have that, if you have problems with receiving, fix that. That might come to you in your 7 year to fix, and then really open up and receive in your 8 year, and just feel that power, because you're gonna be very powerful. It's a great year. I know my a family member of mine, they were about to have their 7 year last year, so for 2021, and I was with them on New Year's Eve, and she was like, I'm gonna have my 2021 is gonna be my year, that whole scenario. And she was like, this is the happiest I'm gonna be, and blah blah blah, and I'm making this move, and it's gonna be great. And then and I kind of was like, that's your 7 year, it might be challenging in some way. And she was like, don't you rain on my parade. And then sure enough, the whole year last year, she was like our inside joke. She was like, you were right. This has been the hardest year that I can remember in so long. And but she's really happy to be in her 8 year now, and I think she will be rewarded from all of her growth. So yeah, it's pretty funny, these patterns that come up. And then that leads us to the last number year, which is the 9. So as you can tell, it's the end of this cycle. So it's not a finale, of course, you're not going to die, but it is a completion of some sort. And, at the end of the road, think of graduating. You look back, and of course you're happy. You're happy to be graduating. You're happy to be stepping into a new chapter, but it can also be very emotional. You can be looking back and getting quite nostalgic, or just re-feeling the feelings that you've felt this whole time, this whole cycle. So the pros of it are you're going to be wrapping things up. So this can swing again one way or the other. You could be really happy about it and be letting go of a lot. It's the perfect time to let go and release. But then if your ego is struggling to hold on to something that's not meant for you, it can also be heartbreaking, right? This could be the year, it can be associated with ending. So a relationship could end, a job could end, but ending, like I said, it's what you make it. So for this year, my advice would be to definitely feel your feelings, and please look at the lessons that have been presented to you and try and learn them. Because and especially in astrology, the last degree of a sign, it's kind of like the final challenge, the final exam of that sign before you move forward. And that's how I view the 9 year as well, is it can be your final, all right, what's going in this new cycle and what's staying. So really take a look at that, and go through any emotion that you haven't fully dealt with that's happened from this whole past 9 years, 8 years. It might come to the surface. Any wounds that you haven't healed that happened in years prior, it might come to the surface because it wants you to work through everything and complete these feelings before you move forward. So I'm very excited for you, because if you're having a 9 year, you're about to start a whole new cycle, which is really amazing. I can't tell if my daughter needs me or not. Maybe she's with her daddy, but yeah, I think I should wrap this up. But yes, so this is my little secret. If you have calculated it and it totally makes sense to you, drop your number below and let's talk about it. It's really fun to compare with friends, because you're like, wow, like that makes so much sense. And yeah, this is just a great way. This information is meant to be fun, and just interesting. So I'm not saying like, to look at this very dogmatic way. Like, just because you're not having an odd year doesn't mean you don't start anything new. Like, continue to live your life, follow your resolutions, but it's a great way to reframe it, where you have some meaning to things. Like if you're having a 7 year and all of a sudden you lose your job, you can look at it and go, oh, okay, this is a chance. This is a chance to grow in a different way. This is a chance to learn a lesson that I need to learn. This is a chance to level up my life. And I might not be able to see why right now, but it's clearly happening for a reason, because it was in this great year of spiritual change. So yeah, that's how I want you to look at it. Just fun, and just, for a deeper emotional processing of what happens to come. I find it prepares me a little bit, because if you're having, especially with the challenging years, and any year can be challenging, of course, it's just whether you're in the flow or not, but especially the challenging years, I find it helpful. Like my friends and family now, like when they know it, because you're just, you're prepped and ready for battle, and you see these challenges face on or head on, and you're ready to face them. So, but yeah, so there you go. Enjoy my secret and share it below, and I wish you the best 2022. Goodbye.